be the seat that you would be able to volunteer at without having to drive that long. Phone banking from your house is not a long distance call either, so whatever it takes. Right. So we need that. So then going back around the table here.
I think I'm going to speak up. I am going to go with the acoustics on this, so bad area.
Really have to yell.
Yeah, unless you don't want to hear.
I'm Mary Ann Lewis, and I live near Fort Drive and Pleasant Hill in the Golden Ridge subdivision, right behind the new Fort Drive Park. We got put in there a couple of years ago. And I do have a couple of concerns that I just kind of want to throw out today. So I'm really glad that a lot of us here.
My name is Ralph Mims. I'm from Douglas County. And I'm here because Bruce invited me to come and hear her talk about the budget. So I'm a member of the Douglas County Democratic Party, OC holder, and former chairman of that party.
Free Palazzo, I'm also from Douglas County. And there's not much going on. There's a lot going on up here today. This is a great opportunity. I'm friends with Kurt. I've known for 15 years.
At least, if not like 20.
Yeah, I think Kurt's part of my family, actually. And I'm actually a co-seat holder also in Douglas County. I've been on the executive committee. And that's mostly one of the counties that the state party thinks can turn Democratic. In fact, we're getting a staff person. And there's only 4 people in the state party that are paid staff. And the Republicans have about 30. So you have to understand kind of how important it is for Kurt to do what he's doing and for us to step up. Because when you're in the minority, you don't get money. You get our votes. So you don't get money. So that means you don't get staff. So you're really important. You're all of us have to work at I'm here to learn about the budget. I'm helping. I'm a consultant for 2 different representatives on the west side of Georgia. One is Pat Ruby, who's running for the Senate again. And I'm also a consultant for Kimberly Alexander, who was president of the West Georgia NAACP and has decided to get on the inside to change. And she's an awesome candidate, but she can't be here today. She's out. Today's Juneteenth, for those of you who don't know. So, yeah, that's why a lot of folks aren't here today. There's a big celebration in Douglas County this afternoon. So
They do a big Juneteenth celebration down in Centerville here. For those that don't know, Juneteenth is and then we'll segue into the budget. So I didn't mean to take over, but we'll segue in. Juneteenth is, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically back in the 1800s, when news didn't travel nearly so fast. There was no version of the Pony CNN or Pony MSNBC or even Pony Fox that would get news out instantaneously to anybody. And so a great many folks after the Emancipation Proclamation, after the slaves in the occupied South and the border states were in fact free, didn't find out about it until sometime in June. I mean, and hence the name Juneteenth. Like sometime in June, they set us free without selling. And that, like I said, I'm not me, my family wasn't even here actually, but I am being folks that were in slavery at that time, and there are communities around the country that mark Juneteenth as a celebration, basically, of the Emancipation Proclamation, and the fact that it did take a while to get around. People didn't always know about it, but it was roughly about now that happened, and roughly about now that people got word of that, so that they knew about that, and so roughly about now people celebrate, including in Promised Land Park, which is a park in South Gwinnett. They do a Juneteenth celebration every afternoon. This day, in the afternoon, there will be a Juneteenth celebration down in Centerville for those who want to go. It's usually a barbecue and speech time, because that's what, in an election year, that's all the kind of celebrations there are. Barbecues and the speech and pie. I don't know any more of those. And, speaking of Douglas County is one of 3 metro counties that went blue in the last election. Douglas County elected its first Democratic county commissioner in quite a long time, also on the, what would you call it, the east side of Douglas County. So Douglas County is a model of the fact that you can turn a county from red to blue, that it can be turned from red to blue faster than just waiting on the economy to go so far south that people finally get fed up, or waiting on the population demographics to change so that people who tend to vote Democratic move there, that it can be moved before them. And so we need to be seriously looking at that as well, because they did something we were almost able to do in Gwinnett County, but not quite. They actually got their county to vote for Obama in the last election. Ours near, and for Jim Martin. So things really have changed in some of the counties, and we just need to make sure that that change continues into 210, and that 210 is not a high water mark, it's just part of the trend. It's part of the tide coming in, and not the high water mark of the tide. Now, what I promised to talk to you all about was the budget, and to give us an update on sort of what happened. Essentially, depending on whose math you're using, we started out with about $1.5 billion to $2 billion deficit in our statewide budget. That's significant because Georgia, like about 44 states, cannot run a budget deficit. So we have to cut our budget to match our revenues. We don't print money, and we are unlike some states like California. We don't permit our state to run a deficit. We do allow our state to have something called bonded indebtedness. So even then, when we say we're balancing the budget, we fudge a little on that. But it can only be used for capital projects. It cannot be used for programs. So we cannot run a deficit to run our schools. We cannot run a deficit to run our corrections industry, or to run any of our programs that are basically jobs or grants or salary, where it's salary.
Kirk, could you give an example of what that is? What you can do?
You can do bonded indebtedness to build a road, to build a building at a university or a school, to build a thing, whether it be, and I'm not, a reservoir, or something as big as a reservoir, something as small as literally a shed in a DOT office.
So like infrastructure?
Infrastructure.
Things. It's things. Things. Inanimate objects.
But as far as salaries, whether it is raises for our state patrol, that's the lowest paid state patrol in the southeast, whether it's actual staff, whether it's preventing layoffs of teachers, or hiring professors at our universities, starting programs, maintaining programs, whether it's allowing people to get off the waiting lists for mental health care so that they don't have to be institutionalized, they can be served in their home. Those are things that cannot be paid for by bonds, because basically a bond is like a loan. And if the state were to go bankrupt, the bank or whoever owns that bond, whether it's Bank of America, the Chinese government, or you can go buy a bond, has to have something to go foreclose on. And since I can't go and take Susie Q, the 8th grade teacher at Shiloh Middle School, and just say, well, I'm foreclosing on you, so please come mow my lawn. We don't have that system anymore. It is Juneteenth, so I can't do that. Basically, they don't allow bonded indebtedness for that. But we started with about a it says a 3.6 billion. This is the problem of the bank. And I apologize. We're getting there. As far as technology, we did not realize that our screen didn't have that we got for the PowerPoint presentation didn't have the wall
Stand.
mount or
No,
the tripod. to hold it
Tripod
up.
stand, right.
The stand to hold it up. So we're back doing this. But basically, a $3.6 billion shortfall is